Okay, so here's a trick question. Which cells in your body do not have any mitochondria? And no, it is not a trick question. Hi, I'm Catie Harris of Philly Wellness Center. So we've all heard that mitochondria have are the powerhouses of all your cells, right? So they're little engines that keep us alive. But some of your cells decided to ditch their power plants entirely. So they have no mitochondria. And yep, that's absolutely true. So right now, billions of your cells are alive without a single mitochondrion inside of them. And others, well, they can turn theirs off one purpose. So why would a living cell do that? And how does it still survive? That's the better question. So let's take a tour inside your body's energy rebels. All right, so meet the red blood cell, a perfect minimalist. When it's born in your bone marrow, it has mitochondria, but just before entering your bloodstream, it kicks them out. Why? Why would they do this? Because red blood cells have one single job: to deliver oxygen. If they kept their mitochondria, they'd have to use some of that mitochondria for them, or some of that oxygen for themselves, and that's really not efficient. So they make a trade. They say, we'll give up our mitochondria, but in turn, we'll carry all the oxygen. I'm not sure how that works out for the red blood cells. But anyway, they survive by doing what bacteria do, which is glycolysis, breaking down glucose into little bits of ATP. It's like switching from a power plant to a hand-cranked generator, but it's not much, but it keeps them flexible, light, and efficient. So that is your red blood cells giving up their mitochondria. So there's another group. Let's move to your eyes. The lens fiber that focus light onto your retina also have no mitochondria, none at all. Why? Because mitochondria would scatter light, right? So the lens literally sacrificed their internal machinery, the nucleus, the mitochondria, everything, just to stay crystal clear. They're like glass artisans that give up their tools just to keep your vision sharp. Next are platelets, right? Those tiny fragments that help your blood to clot. They're not full cells. They're just pieces of larger cells, and they only carry a handful of mitochondria. They mostly rely on glycolysis, but keep a few mitochondria just for emergencies. They're like little backup batteries for blood repair. Your immune cells, which we call shapeshifters, these are true energy shapeshifters. When resting, they hum quietly on mitochondrial power, just kind of hanging out, burning fat efficiently. But then when they detect an invader, like a virus, a bacterium, they flip a metabolic switch. They shut down most of the mitochondria and switch to aerobic glycolysis, the same trick that cancer cells use. So it's less efficient, but it's fast, producing energy and building blocks in bursts, which is why cancer likes it. So imagine switching from a hybrid car to a drag racer, all the noise and power for short sprints. That's your immune system in attack mode. So why do cancer cells mimic this, and why wouldn't they? Because that's where things get fascinating, right? So cancer cells hijack that strategy. And even when oxygen is plentiful, cancer cells prefer glycolysis. This is a process called the Warburg effect. Why? Because it gives them more raw materials to build new cells, DNA, lipids, proteins. They don't care about energy efficiency. They just want speed and growth, right? It's like choosing to use your kitchen blender instead of your power plant. It's messy, noisy, but fast enough to make what you need. So while red blood cells gave up the mitochondria for teamwork, cancer cells suppressed theirs for domination. Interesting. So why does this matter? Understanding which cells use mitochondria and which ones don't tells us a lot about how our body balances survival and specialization. So mitochondria aren't just batteries. They're decision centers for life and death inside each cell. When a cell gives them up, it's usually for a noble reason, to serve a higher function like carrying oxygen or letting you see clearly. But when cells silence mitochondria for selfish reasons like cancer, it becomes a story of survival gone rogue. So the next time you take a deep breath, blink, or heal from a paper cut, remember, some of your cells are doing all that work without a single mitochondrion. They are the unsung rebels of your biology, proof that sometimes giving something up is the ultimate power move. So if you found this interesting, be sure to subscribe to our channel and we'll tell you more mitochondria stories.